Today we are going to learn the kite string technique. It involves pairing two pairs of complementary candidates, one from a row and another from a column in a sector, and it will allow us to eliminate the candidate from the cell that is under the influence of both ends. Let's see it with a couple of examples. In this example, we are going to focus on the candidates 2. As you can see, there is a pair of complementary candidates in row 9. Land another in column 8, which can also be associated in sector 9. I will color them orange so they can be seen better. In this case, we will be able to eliminate candidate 2 that is under the influence of the two extremes. In this case, it will be in row 3, column 5 in the second sector. But first, let's analyze the two possibilities. One possibility is that the 2 goes here, and another possibility is that the 2 is in this sector. If the 2 is in this sector, the number 2 can no longer go in this cell, so it will have to go here. We cannot know in which of the two the number 2 will go, but what we do know is that either here or here there will be a number 2, so we will be able to eliminate candidate 2 from this cell. And so we can continue with the Sudoku. If you notice, this case can also be considered a type of simple chain. I will color it purple so you can see it better. But it will not always be like this, since in the sector where we associate the complementary candidates, there may be more number 2 candidates, as we will see in the next example. In this example, we are going to analyze candidate 6. And if you notice, we have a pair of complementary candidates in row 6 and another in column 2, which can also be associated in sector 4. I will color it orange so you can see it better. Notice that even though there are more candidates in sector 6, they can be associated and will allow us to eliminate candidate 6, which is under the influence of the two extremes. But first, let's analyze the two possibilities. One possibility is that 6 comes here. The other possibility is that 6 comes here. If the 6 is here in the sector, there cannot be a 6 here, so the other 6 will have to come here. I don't know in which of the two the 6 will be, but I know there are no more possibilities. There will be a 6 either here or here, which will allow us to eliminate the candidate 6 from this cell, and thus continue with solving our Sudoku. Now you could say, no, let's see if you can find the kite strings in this Sudoku. You can pause the video and take as much time as you need. I'll give you a hint. It's a kite string of 2s. I'm sure you've already found it if you look in the second row. We have two complementary candidates which can also be associated in that sector with the complementary candidates of this column, and it will allow us to eliminate the 2 from the candidate that remains under the influence of the two extremes. In this case, it would be this one. Therefore, also, if you notice, now the only place where 2 can go is here, allowing us to continue solving our Sudoku. Now let's see if you can find the kite strings in this Sudoku. You can pause the video for as long as you need. I'll give you a hint. It's a kite string of 7s. I'm sure you've already found them, right? I'll mark it so you can see it better. If you notice that here there is a pair of complementary row candidates that can be associated in this sector with this pair of complementary column candidates, which will allow us to eliminate the candidate 7 from the cell that is located. People's job, sake, under the influence of the two extremes.
Now let's see if you can find the kite strings in this Sudoku. You can pause the video as long as you need. I will give you a hint. It is some kite strings of 5s. I'm sure you've already found them, right? I'm going to mark it so you can see it better. In this row, we have a pair of complementary candidates that can be associated in this sector with the complementary candidates of this column, allowing us to eliminate the candidate 5 from the cell located under the two extremes, in this case, this one here. And now we can continue solving our Sudoku. Now let's see if you can find the kite strings in this Sudoku. You can pause the video as long as you need. I'll give you a hint. It's a kite string of about... I'm sure you've already found them, right? I'm going to mark it so you can see it better. We have 2 pairs of complementary candidates that we can associate in this sector, which will allow us to eliminate candidate 1 from the cell that is under the influence of the two extremes. In this case, it would be this one, which will allow us to continue solving our Sudoku. Now it's your turn. See if you can find the 2 kite strings in this Sudoku. You can pause the video and take as much time as you need. I'll give you a hint. The 2 strings of the kite are about... I'm sure you've already found them, right? Let's start with the first one. I'm going to mark it so you can see it better. If you notice, see, we have here a string of the kite that will allow us to eliminate the one from the cell that is under the influence of the two ends. Yes, the other kite string is here. I will mark it so you can see it better. This will allow us to eliminate the one from this cell. So now, if you notice, the ones can only go here or here, which means a one cannot go here. And we can continue solving our Sudoku. Now see if you can find the 2 kite strings hidden in this Sudoku. You can pause the video for as long as you need. I'll give you a hint. One is with the 1s and the other with the 5s. I'm sure you've already found them, right? They are both in the 9th sector. I'll mark it so you can see it better. This first kite string will allow us to eliminate the ones that is under the influence of the two ends. In this case, this one. I will now mark the 5s. That will allow us to eliminate the candidate 5 from the cell that is under the influence of the two extremes. In this case, this one here. One way to find this is to look for complementary candidates in rows that can be associated with complementary candidates in columns in some sector. For example, let's focus on the 4s. If you notice, here we have a pair of complementary row candidates, which also, look, we can associate in this sector with the pair of complementary column candidates. Bingo! We have found a kite string that will allow us to eliminate the candidate that is under the influence of both ends. In this case, it would be this one. Another clue we can find is when we find 2 or more complementary candidates diagonally in a sector. As you can see, it's a technique that is quite easy to find and will allow us to eliminate many candidates. Well, I hope you liked it and see you in the next Sudoku.